Hello everyone and welcome to my February book haul. I'm going to start with this with a preface, whatever the correct word is. I know I have a problem, okay? For one, I do like to shop certain things. Books, yes. Clothes, no. You know, things like that. I hate shopping in Walmart. Target, I don't mind quite so much because it's not as fluorescent bright. And it's definitely not as crowded, and so it's, the sound is not as bad. But I do like shopping for books, as long as my back permits it. I can definitely grab a lot of books to buy within 20-30 minutes. And I think I need to speak to my doctor to see about upping my dose of my prescription for depression. I do struggle with that, and I think it has been a little worse. So I do need to see about increasing the dosage on that because I know it's at a very low dose and it can be increased. I do see him at the end of March, so I will talk to him about that then. I do know that when I am feeling anxious, I want to shop, to buy stuff, to try to calm myself down. If I'm excited, I want to buy some books as a woohoo celebratory thing. And then when I am depressed, I do know that that is the worst time for me, but yet I still go and buy books, but I tend to buy more books because it's more out of control to try and feel better. So I am aware that I have a problem. So I have no problem with people buying books, with myself buying books. Again, I have a problem. But please don't feel like I'm doing this as a, hey, you should go and be buying books too. Utilize your library if that's what you use. That is great. I do have some library books. I'll do a separate video for a February library haul. I am aware I have a problem. Sorry, I got a phone call and now I can't remember how I ended my last thought. Anyway, I don't feel like you need to buy books in the amount that I do. I got 2 subscriptions, 4 subscriptions. Yes, I know I have Probably Smut. And yep, there's the book for that one. I do Book of the Month. I have Romance Reveal Book Box. And then there's another book box subscription that I have, but that one is bi-monthly, so it's every other month. And I think it'll be next month because February I didn't get anything. So those are the ones. Some of these books, I am working on collecting R.L. Stine's books, so I don't count those as like excess. I just get 1 or 2 depending on the cost. Of those, there's ones that I'm currently trying to get from, like I look at thrift books and eBay. So I'm looking at the Fear Street Seniors, and I have 4 books left in that to try to get. Spring Break, Wicked, The Prom Date, and Graduation Date, but those are all over like 80 bucks or more, maybe $75 or more than I'm willing to spend on those. And so I have started to get, I can't remember the name of this collection, and I don't know if I have them all now or if there's like 5 in it or something, but I have all of the books printed out. And I thought I'm going to go ahead and get the Goosebumps ones too. So I have some of those. I did buy some books for a book club, and there's 3 books, which I'll explain them all when I get to them. But yeah, so I'm not trying to put pressure on anyone. I'm excited about all of these books. I really am. I want to get to all of these. And are you wanting to play? Do you have anything for me? Oh, you did bring it. Okay. Molly brought me her toy. She loves this toy. I had some extra yarn from like a Woobles thing, and so I just created a little oval thing for her to play fetch with and put stuffing in it. And it's dirty from being carried around in her mouth. She loves it. It is her favorite toy. So she's wanting me to throw it. There you go. Anyway, and I'm not bragging or anything because there's nothing to brag about on these. I'm just excited about these. I want to share my excitement for all of these. Some of them are pretty. Some of them I'm working on collecting the whole series. So Yes, I am aware I have a book buying problem. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and just get into this. How to Kill a Guy in 10 Ways by Vi Keeland. This one was up at the front of the store and it was wrapped in white paper, so it was like a mystery buy. And this actually sounds pretty good. She's playing with fire. They're going to get burnt. When I read this synopsis to my mom, it is definitely a female revenge. So if you like female revenge books, maybe you would like this one. Are you on a date that doesn't feel right? Can't shake that creepy guy at the bar? Worried you're being followed home? Message M. After too many terrifying encounters, Millie Masters sets up a hotline for women who feel unsafe, walking home alone at night. Message M. But very quickly she realizes that there's much more to be done to help the women who call in, because the men just do it again the next night, and the next, and the next. And when her own sister is assaulted on a night out, the temptation to take the law into her own hands becomes too much to resist, because M can also stand for murder. So How to Kill a Guy in 10 Ways, which is just that green cover right there, is a thriller. So it's a thriller mystery. So if you like that genre, there you go. This next one is a mystery, and this one was also, well, these first three I'm going to show you were all at the front, and they were the mystery blind date with a book type things. This one turns out to be All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. This is a mystery. If you're looking for books by black authors, it does look like this is a black male author, from what I can see. And that's just from quick glance at the pictures. So I know that some people are trying to read more diversely, so this could help with that. Titus Crown is the first black sheriff in quiet Charron County, Virginia. A beautiful place with a harrowing past. After years of working as an FBI agent, Titus knows that his hometown might seem like a land of moonshine and honeysuckle, but secrets fester under the surface. A year after Titus's election, his investigation into a shooting unearths terrible crimes and a serial killer who has been hiding in plain sight, given cover by the town's occasional devotion to the wrong side of history. Charron is Titus's home and his heart. But where faith and violence meet, there will be a reckoning. And I find I do like books with a reckoning or revenge. I do like those. Okay, this next one is a horror. It did say on the blind date with the book that this is a gothic horror. I actually already own this book, but I think I'm going to unhaul the hardback that I have just because the paperbacks, one, they take up less space, and two, as I'm getting older, I'm getting more arthritis, and I know I have some arthritis in my hands. And so paperbacks are easier for my hands to hold. I'm not going to turn down hardbacks by any mean, but if I can get the paperback, that's what I'll do. Unless the hardback is a very special edition and it is very beautiful. That's the other key selling point. But the one I'm talking about is the Hacienda by Isabel Canas. I'm sure I said that wrong. Let's see. During the overthrow of the Mexican government, Beatrice's father was executed and her home destroyed. When handsome Don Rodolfo Solorzano proposes, Beatrice ignores the rumors surrounding his first wife's sudden demise, choosing instead to seize the security that his estate in the countryside provides. She will have her own home again, no matter the cost. But Hacienda San Isidoro is not the sanctuary she imagined. When Rodolfo returns to work in the capital, visions and voices invade Beatrice's sleep. The weight of invisible eyes follow her every move. Rodolfo's sister, Juana, scoffs at Beatrice's fears. But why does she refuse to enter the house at night? Why does the cook burn copal incense at the edge of the kitchen and mark the doorway with strange symbols? What really happened to the first Doña Solorzano? Beatrice only knows two things for certain. Something is wrong with the hacienda, and no one there will save her. Desperate for help, she clings to the youngest priest, Padre Andres, as an ally. No ordinary priest, Andres will have to rely on his skills as a witch to fight off the malevolent presence haunting the Hacienda and protect the women for whom he feels a powerful forbidden attraction. But even he might not be enough to battle the darkness. Far from refuge, San Isidoro may be Beatrice's doom. It does sound really good. Next one I have is the Blanket Cats, and this one, yes, it is a hardback, but it is a small hardback, so this one would be no problem. This is by Kiyoshi Shigematsu, translated by, I thought I saw the translation. Who translated it? Oh, translated by Jesse Kirkwood. So this one says, are 3 days with a cat long enough to change a life? A peculiar pet shop in Tokyo has been known to offer customers the unique opportunity to take home one of 7 special cats whose magic is never promised, but always received. But there are rules. These cats must be returned after 3 days. They must eat only the food supplied by the owner, and they must travel to their new homes with a distinctive blanket. In the Blanket Cats, we meet 7 customers, each of whom is hoping a temporary feline companion will help them escape a certain reality, including a couple struggling with infertility, a middle-aged woman on the run from the police, and 2 families in very different circumstances simply seeking joy. But like all their kind, the Blanket Cats are mysterious creatures with unknowable agendas who delight in confounding expectations, and perhaps what their hosts are looking for isn't really what they need. 3 days may not be enough to change a life, but it might just change how you see it. Next up, I have Kiss of the Basilisk by Lindsay Straube. Bottom, top. Look at that. Now this is a fantasy. It also has the tag of romance, so maybe a... Does it have romantasy as a tag? It does say fantasy, romance, and romantasy. So I don't know if I'm going to stick this. We'll see what vibes this gives me, if I'm going to put this with my romance books or my fantasy books. I don't know yet. Let's see. Tem couldn't imagine a stranger duo, from the formidable Basilisk and the human prince, both powerful in their own right. But they couldn't be more different from each other. 20-year-old Temptress versus Virus has never been kissed, but that's what the Basilisk is for. Along with 13 other contestants, Tem must train with the Basilisk to learn the power of seduction and win the prince's hand in marriage. When Tem is matched with Caspin, the Serpent King, she realizes she might actually stand a chance. But with tensions rising between the basilisks and the humans, Tem is suddenly torn in 2 directions. As her bond with Caspin deepens, so does her connection with the prince. When she uncovers a terrible secret about the royal family, Tem finds herself caught between 2 worlds, neither of which she can survive without. I think I'm going to put this in my romance section, just because the key is to try to win the prince's heart, and you're training in seduction. So I think I'm going to put this in my romance section. So I'm going to put this one in a different stack so I can put this with all my romance books, because I'm still sorting everything else, but my romance section is the only section that's done. Next up, this is a romance. It is a dark romance, and I love the cover on this one. Promises and Pomegranates. Pomegranates are delicious. So Promises and Pomegranates says Monsters and Muses, book number 1. So this is part of a series. So is Kiss of the Basilisk, but I can't remember what series it was, but that one is book number 1. This was written by Sav R. Miller. Just regular papered edges. Let's see. Here you go. She's the sweetest sin he's ever committed. Dr. Cal Anderson assumes his heart worked at some point, but now his cold, emotionless existence gives an edge as a fixer and in-house physician for the mafia, while his judgment is impartial and complication-free until Elena Ricci, his boss's 20-year-old daughter. After admiring the heartless doctor from afar most of her life, Elena catches him in a moment of weakness, and the pair share a night of passion as they attempt to work each other from their systems. Only the night seems to have the opposite effect. Elena is no longer a simple temptation to Cal, but a necessity, an obsession, one he won't let anyone stand in his way of, even if that means crashing her wedding to another man, forcing her hand in marriage, and stealing her away to the corrupt island on which she resides. Alone with the man of her nightmares, Elena starts to chip away at the layers of ice surrounding his hardened heart. But the warmth and delicious depravity from her new husband may not be worth the secrets unveiled, or the lives that will forever be altered. Next up, I have a romance, and this is Boss Man by Vi Keeland, or Vi Keeland, Vi Keeland. He's her billionaire boss. She's his weakness. Reese Ansley was hiding in the bathroom hallway of a restaurant, leaving a message for her best friend to save her from her awful date, when a gorgeous stranger overhears and offers her some dating advice. She proceeds to tell him to mind his own damn business, his own tall, handsome, full of himself damn business, and goes back to her miserable date, though she can't help but sneak hidden glances at the condescending jerk on the other side of the room. Of course, he catches her and winks. When Chase Parker and his equally hot date suddenly appear at Reese's table, she's sure he's going to rat her out. But instead, he pretends he and Reese are old friends and joins them, telling elaborate, embarrassing stories about their fake childhood. And her date suddenly goes from boring to bizarrely exciting. After they part ways, Reese finds herself thinking about Chase more than she wants to admit, even though she knows she'll never see him again. What are the chances in a city with 8 million people? Then again, what are the chances a month later he winds up being her new boss? This next one is a contemporary, and this one is The Bookshop Sisterhood. After years, let's see, when life rewrites the story, only friendship will see them through. After years of hard work, 4 best friends, Celeste, Yasmin, Tony, and Leslie, are finally on the verge of opening the bookstore of their dreams. A place where their community can find solace in an intriguing new read, a comforting beverage, and book-loving friends. But before they can cut the ribbon, their worlds are upended. Tony receives devastating news just months before her wedding, while Celeste's struggling marriage threatens to collapse completely. Leslie learns a shocking secret about her family, and a lotto ticket changes Yasmin's life, but not for the better. As the bookstore's grand opening fast approaches, the 4 women must lean on each other now more than ever to navigate their grief and uncertainty. And together they'll learn that sometimes even the most unexpected plot twists can lead to beautiful new beginnings. I also really like books about strengthening sisterhood, friendship, bonds type of a thing. Oh, and this was written by Michelle Lindo-Rice. So this was a complete, I saw this, I was like, on the cover, I'm like, I'm sold. I saw this on the shelf, cover facing out. It's like, I'm sold. I just love this cover. For one, it's an animated or an illustrated person, and then where it's like she's holding a book and there's obviously books behind her. Yeah. Okay, next up, I have a middle grade graphic novel. This is an adaptation, a graphic novel adaptation of The Babysitter's Club, written by Anne M. Martin. The illustrator has changed. Does it change? Okay, so I have 2 books by this artist and then another one that actually changes to a different artist. This one is the adaptation of Boy Crazy Stacy, and the graphic novel art is by Gale Galligan. Stacy and Marianne are babysitting for the Pike family for 2 weeks at the New Jersey shore. Things are great in Sea City. There's a gorgeous house right on the beach, a boardwalk, plenty of sun and sand, and the cutest boy Stacy has ever seen. Marianne thinks that Stacy should leave Scott alone and focus on the Pike kids, but Stacy's in love. Looking for reasons to hang around his lifeguard stand takes up all her time, which means Marianne has to do the job of 2 babysitters. How can she tell Stacy that Scott just isn't interested without ruining their friendship and breaking Stacy's heart? And for these ones, I was going to buy, I needed to get, this one's number 7 in the Babysitter's Club graphic novel adaptations. I have book number 6 to read this month, and hopefully I'll get to it this month, so I wanted to get number 7 anyway, but I just happened to get 2 other ones. Okay, so number 8 in the Babysitter's Club adaptation is Logan Likes Marianne, illustrated also by Gale Galligan. Let's see, it's the first day of a new school year, and while Marianne doesn't know what to expect from the 8th grade, she's looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. One thing she definitely doesn't expect is to meet Logan Bruno, who just moved to Stony Brook. Logan has a dreamy southern accent, he's awfully cute, and he might be interested in joining the BSC. But the babysitters aren't sure if Logan would make a good club member, so they send him on a job with Marianne as a test. Logan and Marianne hit it off, but Marianne isn't sure of where their friendship could go. Life in the Babysitter's Club has never been this complicated or this fun. Okay, and this last one that I got from for the Babysitter's Club is Claudia and the New Girl. This is number 9 in the adaptation, and this art has changed to Gabriela Epstein. This is, again, Claudia and the New Girl. Claudia has always been the most creative kid in her class, until Ashley Wyeth comes along. Ashley is really different. She wears hippie clothes, has multiple earrings, and is the most fantastic artist Claudia has ever met. Ashley says Claudia is a great artist too, but thinks she's wasting her artistic talent with the Babysitter's Club. When Claudia starts spending more time with Ashley and missing BSC meetings, it becomes clear that Claudia has to make a decision, and one of them has to go. Okay, these next 2 are both middle grade again, and these are graphic novels. And it's part of the Phoebe and Her Unicorn series. I have book number 13, so I wanted to get an extra, 2 or 3. When I went to Barnes & Noble, they did not have the 16th, so I got books 14 and 15 only for this series. And book number 14 is Unicorn Playlist by Dana Simpson. Let's see, best friends Phoebe Howell and Marigold Heavenly Nostrils march to their own beat. But life isn't all rainbows and unicorns. With so many problems in the world and drama at school, Phoebe wonders why unicorns aren't in charge instead of humans. With Marigold, each day is full of magic, from introducing Phoebe to unicorn music, to crashing a goblin popularity contest, and even tracking down long-lost family members like Infernus, the unicorn of death, who ends up being surprisingly adorable. It says, in Unicorn Playlist, Phoebe and Marigold play all the hits. This is such a fun series. I love the art. I did look up the author, and I wanted to double check before I told you for sure. So it does say that this is, Dana is an artist. I'm assuming she uses she, her pronouns because that's what it is. I'm just looking at Wikipedia and just kind of in general, it's always saying she. So I am assuming that it is the she, her pronouns. Currently lives in Santa Barbara, California, and it says, so if you're looking for an LGBT author that does middle grade, this is a great series to look at. It does say, in her 20s, she came out as transgender. So she is transgender. So specifically, if you want a transgender artist and author, this is, I love this series. And when I'm done with this series, I will be looking at other series that Dana has done to get my hands on. So, and I know she has other series. What other series has she done? Can I see? I know there's another one. I can't access her website. Phoebe and Her Unicorn is the big one. I think the most well-known one. But, yeah. And then last of the Phoebe and Her Unicorn books that I got, this one's number 15 in this series. This one is Unicorn Selfies. Taking a good selfie is a piece of cake when you've got a unicorn best friend to help work the angles and even cast a spell to separate you from your shadow. But those shadows can quickly take on a life of their own, and if you aren't careful, they might even steal your cupcakes. In Unicorn Selfies, Phoebe and Marigold doodle and daydream in their secret clubhouse, expertly disguised by a spell of shabbiness, and travel by rainbow orb to an unusual unicorn family reunion. The imagination and warmth of Phoebe and Her Unicorn will entice young readers to join the frame as the best friends explore, rebel, and make all kinds of unexpected magic together. Such a fun series. Highly recommend this series. This next book I have been wanting to look into ever since I saw the cover of this one. And then it started to kick off on YouTube. And I decided to now finally get this for whatever reason. I finally saw it again. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get it. And this is a dark romance, and it is Butcher and Blackbird. I keep wanting to say Butcher and Blackbeard. Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Every serial killer needs a friend. Every game must have a winner. When a second chance encounter sparks an unlikely bond between rival murderers Sloane and Rowan, they find something elusive, the friendship of two like-minded, pitch-black souls who just happen to enjoy killing other serial killers. From small-town West Virginia to upscale California, and from downtown Boston to rural Texas, the two hunters collide in an annual game of blood and suffering, one that pits them against the most dangerous monsters in the country. But as their friendship develops into something more, the restless ghosts left in their wake are only a few steps behind, ready to claim more than just their newfound love. Okay, another dark romance I have. This was a complete cover complete cover by, and that is Distance. This is book number 1 in the Beneath the Mask series, written by Luna Mason. I like this cover. Let's see. It does say this is a dark romance set amidst the brutal yet alluring underbelly of the New York City Mafia. Two POVs. We have Keller and Sienna. So underneath Keller it says, "From a poor underground street fighter, I rose to fame as the world heavyweight boxing champion. No one knew I was also a monster who hunted in the shadows, trapped in the mafia until my debts were paid. A simple deal until unify my belts could set me free. Seemed easy enough until I crossed paths with an irresistible young British woman. Wanting her was dangerous for both of us, but I took her anyway, leaving me with one choice, fight for my freedom or hers." And then underneath Sienna, it says, "Newly single and focused on building my life in New York City, I've sworn off men for now. No one has ever stuck around long enough to let me believe in fairy tales anyway, until him. He tried to hide himself from me, but I couldn't stay away. When the mask shattered and the truth was revealed, would I stay, even if it meant my life was at stake?" Oh, I'm sticking this with my romance books. This next one, Barnes & Noble evidently had an early release of this, and the cover drew me in. This one is The Scorpion and the Night Blossom. According to Goodreads, it's expected to be released on March 4th, but Barnes & Noble had early editions evidently. So the stenciled edges, it's hard to tell what they are, but it's basically just flowers, and then there's a scorpion sitting right there. So, this is by Amelie Wen Zhao. Really like those end pages. Maps. And I believe this is a young adult. Let me scroll back down. This is a fantasy romance, and yes, it is a young adult. It's also tagged as romantasy and mythology. So this is a retelling, I believe, of some kind of Asian mythology, and I think it says it in the flap. Let's see. 9 years ago, the war between the Kingdom of Night and the Kingdom of Rivers tore Anying's family apart, leaving her mother barely alive and a baby sister to fend for. Now the mortal realm is falling into eternal night, and beautiful ravenous demons, roam the land, feasting on the flesh of humans and drinking their souls. It just says Asian literature as the tag on Goodreads. Okay, continuing on, it says, Anying is no longer a helpless child, though. Armed with her crescent blades and trained in the ancient art of practicing, she has decided to enter the immortality trials, which are open to any mortal who can survive the journey to the immortal realm. Those who complete the trials are granted a pill of eternal life, the one thing Anying knows can heal her dying mother. But to attain the prize, she must survive the competition. Death is common in the trials, yet oddly, Anying finds that someone is helping her stay alive, a rival contestant, powerful and handsome, Yu-Chen is as secretive about his past as he is about his motives for protecting Anying. The longer she survives the trials, the clearer it becomes that all is not right in the immortal realm. To save her mother and herself, Anying will need to figure out whether she can truly trust the stranger she's falling for, or if he's the most dangerous player of all, for herself and for all the realms. I think I'm going to put this one in fantasy, and then I don't know if I showed you that, but there's the front cover. And let's see, nothing on the back. This next one is a romance. I am actually currently reading the first book in this series, and I am on page 179. The book I am reading is My Roommate is a Vampire, and I am really enjoying it. So I got the second book, and the second one, I don't know if it's only going to be a duology or if there will be more. I don't know. I would love to see more, but the second book is My Vampire Plus One by Jenna Levine. And this one follows, I believe, different characters. Yeah, different characters. It says, nothing sucks more than fake dating a vampire in this paranormal romantic comedy. Amelia Collins is, by definition, successful. She would even go so far as to say successfully single, but not according to her family. She's tired of the constant questions about her non-existent dating life. When an invitation to yet another family wedding arrives, she decides to get everyone off her back once and for all by finding someone, anyone, to pose as her date. After a chance encounter with Reginald Cleves, okay, so this character is in the first, so this is Reginald, and he is in the first book. Okay, so maybe it will only be a duology, I don't know. Let's see. After a chance encounter with Reginald Cleves, Amelia decides he's perfect for her purposes. He's a bit strange, but that's fine. It'll discourage tough questions from her family, and it certainly doesn't hurt that he's very handsome. For centuries-old vampire, Reggie posing as her plus one sounds like the ultimate fun, and if it helps his ruse of pretending to be human, so much the better. As Amelia and Reggie practice their fomance, it becomes clear that Reggie is as loyal to her as the day is long, and that Amelia's first impressions could not have been more wrong. Suddenly, being in a real relationship with Reggie sounds pretty fantastic. So, yep. These next two books are actually prequels to a series that I just finished via ebook, but I want to collect these because I enjoyed the writing, and I will definitely be rereading these books, the series that I read. So I actually did purchase the series books, but I'm not counting them as a haul because I already own them, although I guess I could, but they won't be in this video. So anyway, it's the Belgarath series, and is the series that I read via ebook. Got my own copies, and I got the prequels. So this first prequel, and I don't know what order these ones have to go in. So these are fantasy, and these are like epic high fantasy. So with the epilogue, this first one is 840 pages. Granted, this one's a mass market, but they're both mass market, but these are thick. And this one is by David and Lee Eddings, and this is Belgarath the Sorcerer. So in the series, we are following one of his grandsons. And yeah, so this one is, I guess, going to be the origin of Belgarath. So it'll be fun to be back in this world and back in this writing and read about Belgarath's origins. Let's see. The world was young and gods still walked among their mortal children. A headstrong orphan boy sets out to explore the land beyond his village. So begin the extraordinary adventures that will transform a young vagabond into a man, and the man into Belgarath, the great sorcerer learned in the will and the word on whom the fate and the world will depend. The monumental task of setting destiny aright will cost Belgarath all that he holds most dear. As the instrument of prophecy, his life will be 7,000 years long. He will become known to us as the Ancient One, the Old Wolf, and until now, he has been a figure of the great mystery and hidden power. This next one that is also part of the world is the that's another prologue to the Belgarath series. This one is following the main characters, in this case, aunt, and that is Pulgera, the sorceress. That is a dark cover. She is standing right there. I know it's hard to see, and then there's an owl there, but yeah. The world was cracked asunder by the jealousy of its gods. Here at last is the full-length truth of events, prefiguring the cataclysmic story of the Belgarath. Pulgera was provoked to set it down when she read the memoirs of her father, Belgarath, the sorcerer. So, this is the father, this is the daughter, and so the grandfather and aunt of the main character in the Belgarath series. Pulgera illuminates the mysterious past only she can tell of. As guardian of the heir to the Riven throne, she alone protected the world's last best hope from the dark forces that fought to change the prophecy. Thus, she has become known to us as the all-powerful sorceress and shape-changer. Her secrets unveil the truth of who she was, a beautiful woman whose consistency and inner power have been the foundation of all the luck and love that have saved the world. Oh, and by the way, the last from the Barnes & Noble was The Scorpion and the Night Blossom. That's the last one from Barnes & Noble. These other ones are from like Amazon or thrift books or subscription boxes. I'll tell you when I get to the subscription boxes. So, yeah. The next 4 I'll show you are actually from thrift books. And this one is, and they're all by R.L. Stine. This one is Moonlight Secrets. This was a library one at one point. T.C. Howe Academy. Fear Street Nights, book number 1. That's the series I'm working on right now. Let's see. It all started with Lewis and Jamie. They were sneaking out late at night to be together. Then their friends started joining in. First at the old burned-down Fear Mansion, later at the local bar nights. They called themselves the Night People, and they carefully protected their secret world. No parents, no work, no stress. Just chilling with friends in their own private after-hours club. But then the nights turned dark, unexplainable accidents, evil pranks, and then later the killings. The Night People know they have to stop the horror all by themselves, or else they risk exposure, not to mention their lives. So, this next one is a Goosebumps. The next 3 are Goosebumps. This one is Stay Out of the Basement. I do remember checking this one out, and the cover creeped me out as a kid, but I don't remember if I've read this one. Dr. Brewer is doing a little plant testing in his basement. Nothing to worry about. Harmless, really. Sounds familiar, I may have read it. But Marguerite and Cassie Brewer are worried about their father, especially when they meet some of the plants he is growing down there. Then they notice their father is developing plant-like tendencies. In fact, he is becoming distinctly weedy and seedy. Or is it just part of their father's harmless experiment? Or has the basement turned into another little shop of horrors? I have read this, yes. Okay. This next one I'm going to show you, out of the Goosebumps ones that I've read, which were not much, I loved this. I think this one's my favorite out of the Goosebumps. I do like the Slappy stuff with Slappy, but this one I preferred over those. The next Goosebumps I have is Say Cheese and Die. This one was my favorite Goosebumps reading, and I only read a handful of Goosebumps as a kid. Every picture tells a story. Greg thinks there is something wrong with the old camera he and his friends found. The photographs keep turning out wrong, very wrong, like the snapshot Greg took of his father's new car. That shows it totaled. And then Greg's father in a nasty wreck, but Greg's friends don't believe him. Sherry even makes Greg bring the camera to her birthday party and take her picture. Only Sherry's not in the photograph when it develops. Is Sherry about to be taken out of the picture permanently? Who is going to take the next fall for the evil camera? Okay, this next one I have is also a Goosebumps, and that is The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. This one I know I have not read. Something dead has been here. Gabe just lost in a pyramid. Oh, Gabe just got lost in a pyramid. 1 minute, his crazy cousin Sarai was right ahead of him in the pyramid tunnel. The next minute, she's disappeared. But Gabe isn't alone. Someone else is in the pyramid too. Someone or something. Gabe doesn't believe in the curse of the mummy's tomb, but that doesn't mean that the curse isn't real, does it? So this next author, I read a short story, and it was, I can't remember if it was on Kindle Unlimited or it was like $1. Really enjoyed the writing, so I wanted another book by this author. Then I decided to get another, so this first one I'm going to show you is book number 1 in a series. And then I started to get, which it looks like might be a trilogy. And these are all romance. And then the other 3 books are actually a complete other trilogy that will be book club reading with Bookstara. So I'll try to link that Discord in the channel if you're interested. Right now we're reading the Foundry Side trilogy, and then after the Foundry Side it will be this other series. So this first one I got from the author is The Friend Zone, and it's by Abby Jimenez. Kristen Peterson doesn't do drama. Will fight to the death for her friends. It's like printed, so it didn't print the words in full. You can't see it on camera, but let's see. Will fight for her friends and has no room in her life for guys who just don't get her. She's also keeping a big secret, facing a medically necessary procedure that will make it impossible for her to have children. Planning, so it's like just the first words right here that only part of them printed. Planning her best friend's wedding is bittersweet for Kristen, especially when she meets the best man, Josh Copeland. He's funny, sexy, never offended by her mile-wide streak of sarcasm, and always one chicken enchilada ahead of her hangry. Even her dog, Stuntman Mike, adores him. The only catch, Josh wants a big family someday. Kristen knows he'd be better off with someone else, but as their attraction grows, it's harder and harder to keep him at arm's length. So, yeah, that's what I can get from the kind of funky synopsis there. Okay, the first one is, the title of the book is Part of Your World. And this one says, after a wild bet, gourmet grilled cheese sandwich, and a cuddle with a baby goat, Alexis Montgomery has her world turned upside down. The cause, Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come. The complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. With her ultra-wealthy parents, while her ultra-wealthy parents want her to carry on the family legacy of world-renowned surgeons, Alexis doesn't need glory or fame. She's fine with being a mere ER doctor, and every minute she spends with Daniel and the tight-knit town where he lives, she's discovering just what's really important. Yet letting their relationship become anything more than a short-term fling would mean turning her back on her family and giving up the opportunity to help thousands of people. Bringing Daniel into her world is impossible, and yet she can't just give up the joy she's found with him either. With so many differences between them, how can Alexis possibly choose between her world and his? Okay, the second book in that series is Yours Truly. And I will read the synopsis because they do follow different characters. This one says, Dr. Brianna Ortiz's life is seriously flatlining. Her divorce is just about finalized. Her brother's running out of time to find a kidney donor, and that promotion she wants, oh, that's probably going to the new man doctor who's already registering 80-7 on Brianna's pain in my ass scale. But just when all systems are set to hate, Dr. Jacob Maddox completely flips the game by sending Brianna a letter. And it's a really good letter. Like the kind that proves that Jacob isn't actually Satan. Worse, he might be this fantastically funny and subversively likable guy who's terrible at first impressions. Because suddenly he and Bree are exchanging letters, sharing lunch dates in their sob closet, and discussing the merits of freakishly tiny horses. But when Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother, she wonders just how she can resist this quietly sexy new doctor, especially when he calls in a favor she can't refuse. And then book number 3 in this series is Just for the Summer. This one says, when it comes to love, Emma is cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out, and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. But when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings. Has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be far more hazardous than the curse itself? Next, some more R.L. Stine books. I have Midnight Games. This is book number 2 in the Fear Street Nights series. I did, I did order the 3rd one from Thrift Books. These are all from Thrift Books. The 3rd one has not arrived yet. As of right now, when I check the tracking number, it still says it's on its way, and it's currently in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, Dana Fear isn't thrilled about spending her senior year at Shadyside High. The Fear family history goes way back in this town, and she's not so into lugging around the baggage. But then she gets in with the night people. Shadyside's pretty cool when it's 3 a.m. and you're chilling at a bar called Nights with your new best friends. Until the evil returns, and the night people start mysteriously disappearing one by one. Dana swears she has nothing to do with it, but all fingers point in one direction, because there is, after all, a new fear in town. Okay, next by R.L. Stine is another Goosebumps, and this one is Welcome to Dead House. This is number 1 in the Goosebumps, original Goosebumps. It says, Amanda and Josh think the old house they have just moved into is weird, spooky, possibly haunted, and the town of Dark Falls is pretty strange too. But the parents don't believe them. You'll get used to it, they say. Go out and make some new friends. So Amanda and Josh do. But these new friends are not exactly what their parents had in mind, because they want to be friends forever. The next and last one by R.L. Stine in this haul is Monster Blood. While staying with his weird great-aunt Catherine, Evan visits a funky old toy store and buys a dusty can of Monster Blood. It's fun to play with at first, and Evan's dog Trigger likes it so much he eats some. But then Evan notices something weird about the green slimy stuff. It seems to be growing, and growing, and growing, and all that growing has given the Monster Blood a monstrous appetite. This next one I'm going to show you is a nonfiction, and this is one where I'm always going to want one from this author up on deck, at least until I have everything that he's written thus far, and then obviously just wait until he releases something new if he does. And that is Mike Wicking. So he is the author of The Little Book of Huga and The Little Book of Luca, which I both really enjoyed these. This one is The Art of Making Memories, How to Create and Remember Happy Moments. I just love his writing. It says, do you remember your first kiss, or the best meal you ever tasted, or the smell of freshly cut grass on a perfect summer's day? When our senses are stimulated, when we harness the power of first experiences, and when we are conscious of our feelings and emotions, we are more likely to hold on to our happy memories. I struggle with conscious of feelings and emotions. I struggle with that, but let's see. Using research on happiness, Mike Wicking explores how we can learn to create happy memories and be better at holding on to them, including data and diaries, interviews, global surveys and studies, and real-life behavioral science and happiness experiments. This will explore how we can create perfect moments, moments you will remember forever, moments that will shape who we are. So, and this next one is book number 3 in a cozy mystery series. This series is called A Writer's Apprentice Mystery. I literally just read in February book number 2. Does it say what the title of book number 2? Death in Dark Blue. Anyway, this is book number 3, and it's A Dark and Twisting Path. So, let's see. Writer's apprentice Lena London is happily working on a new collaboration with her idol and best-selling suspense novelist and friend, Camilla Graham. But her joy is short-lived when a dark cloud descends upon the quaint town of Blue Lake, Indiana. Lena's best friend, Allison, is in a panic. On a walk in the woods by her home, Allison discovers the body of her mail carrier, an argumentative man who recently had a falling out with Allison's husband. Lena quickly realizes that Allison has nothing to worry about, as the murder weapon points to a different suspect altogether. Lena's embattled boyfriend, Sam West. Sam was cleared of his wife's murder when she was found alive, and now someone is trying to make him look guilty again. Surveillance video of a break-in at his house shows a shadowy figure trying to incriminate him by stealing the weapon from his desk. Lena and Camilla work on a suspect list, but a threatening note and a violent intrusion at Graham House prove that the devious killer has decided to write them into the plot. Okay, this next one is book number 1 in a series in Reveal Book Box. I ended up getting a book that was later on in the series. Let me see, book number 2. So I purchased book number 1, and the one that I got, so this is a romance, and this one is Abandoned by A.M. Wilson. The name of the series is Powell Sanctuary. This one says, The uncatchable stray snuck on the patio where I was waitressing and knocked me straight into Lee Powell's lap. My fist slammed into his junk. Then I accidentally flipped his breakfast platter onto his pants. I thought it couldn't get any worse, but when I bring my brother to baseball practice, I discover his new coach is none other than Lee, owner and founder of Powell Dog Sanctuary, and he's not happy to see me. I try to keep my distance from the hottest grump I've ever seen and ignore what it felt like curled against his broad, muscled chest. But a bad case of the flu changes everything. He stumbles on to my biggest secret and reveals a few of his own. He can't seem to stay away from me. He says he's too old for me, but I couldn't care less when he makes me feel cherished. But then his past raises its ugly head, and he breaks our connection in a moment of suspicion. Lee's afraid of being hurt again, but I'm the one left abandoned. Another author that, as long as she has workout, I'm going to want one to have on deck, is Elle McNull. And so I have, this one I believe is going to be a duology. This is book number 1 in that series, and this one is Like a Charm. Book number 2 is Like a Curse, so Like a Charm first. People only notice Ramya Knox long enough to call her a troublemaker, except Grandpa. He sees Ramya and her neurodiversity as enchanting. She notices things when no one else dares to look. But even Ramya isn't prepared for the secrets that hide in plain sight. When Grandpa dies, he leaves behind a mysterious journal and one big secret. Magic is real. Ramya, and I'm sure I'm saying her name wrong, is hurled into a quest in which monsters live, danger waits, and a hidden world needs saving. Too bad she's the only one who can see it. Okay, these next 6 I'm going to show you are all from Romance Reveal Book Box. So on top of this stack is Tell Me How You Hate Me by Callie Mel. I'm guessing. When life gives you your enemy, you make a deal with him. Leo Wells is the last person I want to be skating with. He's aloof, abrasive, and stupidly attractive. Never mind the fact that I had a lapse in judgment one night with him in the past. We may not like each other, but I like winning more, and if I want to win, I need him. We need each other. Leo doesn't like the idea any more than I do, but we make a deal. We have to put our differences aside and forget about our history so we can compete together. It should be easy enough, after all. Neither of us like the other. But there's a spark between us, one that reignites a burning fire we lit a long time ago. The lines are blurring and melting like the ice around my heart. Leo Wells is breaking through my walls, tearing them down one layer at a time. And all I can do is tell him how I hate him, because I'm afraid I don't hate him at all. Next up is Cherry by Bretta Elaine. I'm used to spending my holidays alone. Okay, alone might be a stretch. I am usually surrounded by people, but fading into the background, forgotten even, which I like, most of the time. New Year's was supposed to be different, or so my best friend said. The night started like usual, with me grabbing some booze and finding a hiding spot somewhere in the back of the room. But everything changed when a dimple-doting, dark-haired hottie slid into the booth with me. The connection was instant. Sparks flew, metaphorically, of course. but it did feel like the heat was turned up. My luck with the holidays had finally changed, or so I thought. Next thing I know, his date, the she-devil from work, is all over him, and I am puking on someone's shoes. Embarrassed, I tried to forget that night, but it becomes impossible when Nate, the Greek god from the bar, shows back up, determined to win me over. Under the impression he is in a relationship, I do everything to shut his flirting down. But a girl can only be so strong. Through blush-inducing texts and flirtatious gifts, Nate clears up his relationship status once and for all. After that, it doesn't take long for a relationship to heat up. Everything between us is perfect, almost too perfect. But with my luck, I can't help but feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, and next is the first one. So I did Abandoned, and now I have book number 1 in that series, and this one is Strayed. Let's see, 10 years ago, I left my marriage and the love of my life. On paper, my husband checked the boxes. 1, devastatingly handsome. 2, wild and carefree. 3, and a skilled lover, if you know what I mean. But Corjan Powell was a bad husband. I knew we both deserved more. We were too young to be saddled with a lifetime of resentment and regret. After a year of confrontations and no change, I didn't even give him the chance to refuse divorce papers. One disastrous fight too far, I wrote him a note and left. But Bree, what happened over those 10 years, you ask? Resentment and regrets. Until one random Sunday afternoon, I collide with someone in a crowded airport and look up into Corjan's familiar, intense blue eyes. I'm scared of my own reflection, the racing heart, the sweaty palms, the shock telling me I'm not over him. I do the only rational thing and escape as fast as I can onto my connecting flight. The problem? I accidentally grab his cell phone from the floor and leave mine behind. Now we're 1,000 miles apart, and he has my entire life in his hands, and I have his in mine. And we are about to find out if there's love left between us, or if we strayed too far after all this time. Next is Love Notes and Lifelines. This is written by Avery Maxwell. The job was simple. Always answer the phone, no exceptions, then solve the caller's catastrophe as efficiently as possible. The rules were simpler. They contact you, not the other way around. Never give them your real name, number, or any personal information. Not required to help a newly single dad keep his head above water. And never ever get involved with a caller. Simple, right? Becker Hayes was not who I was expecting to call during my shift with the single dad hotline. He's my boss's boss. In the boardroom, he's rich, powerful, detached. In my calendar, he's the enigmatic one-time kiss I was never supposed to see again. But on the other end of the phone, he's vulnerable and reeling from becoming a guardian of his young nieces. I'm not thinking straight when I offer him a little help off the books. Not when my mother's illness is winning the battle, and I'd give anything for distraction from the loneliness. So when the single dad hotline blows up my life, what's a girl to do but say yes to everything he's offering? Next from that box is Central Park Collision. This is written by Nicole Sanchez, and this is book number 1 in the Love and the Big Apple series. It says, Elia Daniels can't remember the last 5 years of her life. She doesn't remember having a falling out with her best friend or where she works. And more importantly, why was she riding her bike through Central Park in the middle of the night? Understanding what drove her into the rain that night feels like the missing piece. When her search reveals that no one is looking for her, she'll have to rely on the help of the workaholic millionaire who feels responsible for her accident. Charles Breckenridge III hasn't taken a day off in years from his father's private equity firm. When the taxi he's in hits Elia in the middle of a storm, nothing is the same again. For the first time in 10 years, he's stepping away from the work and focusing on Elia. She's stubborn and brave in ways that he's never encountered. But she's lost in a way that drives him to help her. His father, his best friend, and his ex-fiancée are determined to undermine the relationship at every turn. As the relationship between Elia and Charles heats up in the tight quarters of his apartment, they have to decide if they want to pursue the other in spite of the power balance between them. At every turn, there seem to be detractors working against them. Is fate enough to keep them together, or will other forces, both known and unknown, keep them apart? And the last one from Romance Reveal is Never Finished by Anna Rhodes. This is book number 1 in the Pinecrest Mountain series. She's an heiress bound by obligation, determined to protect her mother's legacy. He's a bartender from the wrong side of the tracks who's always loved her. 12 years ago, I chose my family and the future they laid out for me, and walked away from Jamie, my best friend and forbidden fantasy. We said goodbye with a soul-searing kiss I can still feel on my lips. Now I'm back in Silver Pine for the first time since my mother died. I'm brokering a merger for the family business, only I don't realize my freedom is on the line. My father wants to expand at any cost, including offering his only daughter as part of the deal. But Jamie is back too, and his effortless charm and smile disarm my every defense. He stands for everything my world isn't: warm, passionate, and unpredictably beautiful. I'm trapped between the life I've always known and the taste of freedom I've longed for. But with my father plotting my future and my mother's legacy weighing heavy, can I dare to rewrite my story for love? This next one is an anthology of short horror stories, and it's an Indigenous dark fiction anthology, Never Whistle at Night. I've seen a couple of people on BookTube hold this book up, and I have always absolutely loved this cover and been intrigued that it's Indigenous dark fiction and short, so short stories. It's an anthology, and so I've been wanting to pick this up. Finally did. Let's see. This is edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore C. Van Alst Jr. Many Indigenous people believe that one should never whistle at night. I've actually heard that. It can cause evil spirits to appear and even follow you home. Those wholly original and shiver-inducing tales introduce readers to ghosts, curses, hauntings, monstrous creatures, complex family legacies, desperate deeds, and chilling acts of revenge. Introduced and contextualized by best-selling author Stephen Graham Jones, these stories are a celebration of Indigenous people's survival and imagination and a glorious reveling in all the things an ill-advised whistle might summon. This is just sound so cute, or not cute, intriguing. The cover's cute. I really like the cover, but this just sounds very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to all of them, but that one particularly. Next up, I saw this and was completely drawn in by the cover and the expression on this face, and it just made me smile. I love it when cover does that. It says this is a Misty Divine mystery, so this is a mystery series, and this is Murder in the Dressing Room by Holly Stars. It says Holly Stars is a drag stand-up comedian and writer. So this will be my first time reading a book by an author that is drag. And I thought that is really cool. And I didn't even need to read the synopsis to pick this up. This cover and the title just drew me right in. And let's see, it says, a poisoned chocolate, a stolen dress, an elusive cat burglar. Drag's not just dramatic, it's deadly. By day, Joe is a hotel accounts assistant, invisibly sitting behind their desk and playing by the rules. By night, donned in sequins, they take to the stage as Misty Divine, a star of the London drag scene. When Misty's drag mother, Lady, is found dead in her dressing room beside a poisoned box of chocolates, Misty and her fellow performers become the prime suspects. Heartbroken by the loss and frustrated by the clear biases of the police, Misty must solve the crime before the culprit strikes again. Among the drop-dead gorgeous lurks a cutthroat killer, and Misty Divine won't rest until she finds out who it is. So this gives me cozy mystery vibes, but made drag. And I am really excited for this. It sounds like this is going to be really awesome, and it sounds like it'll be comedic and make me laugh. And I don't think the cover could have been any better. I think this is the perfect cover for this, in my opinion, without having read the book yet. This next one is a romance, and I saw when I was out and about, like book number 3, but then I saw it was the 3rd book in the series, and I thought I need to get book number 1 first. And book number 1 is The Neighbor Favor. This is written by Christina Forrest. It says, a shy bookworm enlists her charming neighbor to help her score a date. not knowing he's the obscure author she's been corresponding with in the sparkling and heart-fluttering romance by Christina Forrest. Shy, bookish, and admittedly awkward, Lily Green has always felt inadequate compared to the rest of her accomplished family, who strive for Black excellence. She dreams of becoming a children's book editor, but she's been frustratingly stuck in the nonfiction division for years without a promotion in sight. Lily finds escapism in her correspondence with her favorite fantasy author, and what begins as two lonely people connecting over email turns into a tentative friendship, and possibly something else Lily won't let herself entertain until he ghosts her without a word. Months later, Lily is still crushed, but she's determined to get a hold of her life, starting with finding a date to her sister's wedding, and the perfect person to help her is Nick Brown, her charming, attractive new neighbor, who she feels drawn to for reasons she can't explain. But little does she know, Nick is an author, her favorite fantasy author. Nick, who has reasons for using a pen name and pushing people away, soon realizes that the beautiful, quiet girl from down the hall is the same Lily he fell in love with over email months ago. Unwilling to complicate things even more between them, he agrees to set her up with someone else. Though this simple favor between two neighbors is anything but, not when he can't get her off his mind. That sounds so cute. This next one was a complete cover draw in, and then I saw that it was by an author who I've read a book from and loved the writing. And the author is Emily McIntyre, and this one is Beneath the Stars. This is the start of a new series by this author. The series is called Sugar Lake Series, and this is book number 1. It says, "We could all go our entire lives without speaking, and still I'd know you in the next one." Alina Carson meets Chase Adams when she's 11 years old, after he moves in down the street carrying nothing but a chip on his shoulder and dimples in his cheeks. Immediately she falls, loving him before she even knows what loving is. But becoming best friends with Chase's little sister means that he's off limits, no matter how much their connection screams for something more. Chase never cared much for following the rules. Abandoned by everyone who was supposed to love him, he's broken and insecure, choosing to push others away before they have a chance to hurt him. But there's something about the girl with golden hair, and before he can stop himself, he's sneaking through her window, whispering his deepest secrets beneath her glow-in-the-dark stars. As time goes on and they get older, he decides to give their love a chance, no matter what anyone else thinks. But old habits die hard, and when tragedy strikes, Chase is back to doing what he does best, ruining everything. Chase disappears and years pass, leaving Alina with no choice but to pick up her broken pieces and move on, until one day he's back, all grown up and taking over his family's business. When Alina and Chase are thrown together and forced to work in the same building, old feelings resurface, and Alina quickly realizes that Chase is on a mission, determined to right the wrongs of his past, starting with her. So this next book I had pre-ordered, but then canceled my pre-order, and because I saw that this was going to be book for probably smut. So, Deep End by Allie Hazelwood. And honestly, I prefer the original cover over this one. But it's fine. This is fine. For me, this is like lukewarm. Nothing to write home about. The one thing with probably smut is there is no synopsis on these books. Even on the inside, there's not a page for the synopsis, which I wish there was. So I've got to read it off of Goodreads. It says, a competitive diver and an ace swimmer jump into forbidden waters in this steamy college romance. Let's see, a junior at Stanford and a student athlete who specializes in platform diving, Scarlett prefers to keep her head down, concentrating on getting into med school and on recovering from the injury that almost ended her career. She has no time for relationships. At least that's what she tells herself. Swim captain, world champion, all-around aquatics golden boy Lucas Bloomquist thrives on discipline. It's how he wins gold medals and breaks records. Complete focus with every stroke. On the surface, Lucas and Scarlett have nothing in common, until a well-guarded secret slips out and everything changes, so they start an arrangement. And as the pressure leading to the Olympics heats up, so does their relationship. It was supposed to be just a temporary, mutually satisfying fling. But when staying away from Lucas becomes impossible, Scarlet realizes that her heart must be treading into dangerous water. And the last books I will show you in this video are all from Book of the Month. So 5 more books and then this video is done. So this first one I will show you is A Season of Light by Julie Iramuanya, I'm guessing. I'm sure I said that wrong. When 276 schoolgirls are abducted from their school in Nigeria, Felidus Ireki, a Florida-based attorney, poet, and former POW of the Nigerian Civil War, begins to go mad. Consumed by memories of his younger sister, Ugochi, who went missing during that conflict, and fearful that the same fate awaits Amara, his 16-year-old daughter, who bears an uncanny resemblance to Ugochi, Fidelis locks her in her bedroom and offers no explanation. As a result of that singular action, the Ireki family spirals into chaos. After unsuccessful attempts to free their daughter, Fidelis's wife, Adobe, seeks the counsel of a preacher praying for the spiritual liberation from the curse she is certain has plagued her family since leaving Nigeria. 14-year-old Chuck, beset by his own war with the neighborhood boys, receives a painful education in force, masculinity, and his tenuous position within his family. And rebellious, resentful Amara is hungry for her life to be hers, so the moment she escapes her imprisonment, she falls in love. Not with the Nigerian-born engineer in training her mother wanted, but with Maxim Kostik, the son of the town drunk. Before long, the two have concocted a plan to run away. But for all that they have endured, and for all that they are tempted to forsake, the Irwekis find that their bonds run deeper and stronger than they ever knew. And this is a literary fiction. A deeply moving story of one immigrant family living in the complex landscape of contemporary America. This next one is a historical fiction, and this one is Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. I know someone growing up. I'm not going to say the type of relationship, whether it's a friend or whatever. Charmaine. So I know a Charmaine. I still know Charmaine. Sometimes the only way forward is to look back. When 10-year-old Evie Freeman heard the gunshot, time stopped. When she saw her brother Baz on the floor, surrounded by shattered pieces of a treasured heirloom, her life felt shattered as well. Charmaine is a cousin, okay? Yeah, I'll say the relationship. Charmaine's a cousin. Let's see. The crime was never solved. Not this Charmaine. I have a different Charmaine. The crime was never solved. Ever since the Freemans, one of the only black families in a well-to-do enclave in New England, have dreaded becoming the center of another media frenzy. But when now-grown Ebby's high-profile romance falls apart, that's exactly what happens. Ebby flees to France, only for her past to follow. As she processes the shock, she begins to think about the other loss her family suffered that day. The stoneware jar that had been in their family for generations, brought north by an enslaved ancestor. Soon, Ebby realizes that the handcrafted piece held more than just her family's history. It might also be the key to claiming a new future. This next one is a mystery thriller, and this one is Penitence by Kristen Cavall. When a shocking murder occurs in the home of Angie and David Shahan, their lives are shattered. Desperate to defend their family, they turn to a small lawyer, Martin Dumont, for help. But Martin isn't just legal counsel. She's also the mother of Angie's first love, Julian, a now successful New York City criminal defense attorney. As Julian and Angie confront their shared past and long-buried guilt from a tragic accident years ago, they must navigate their own culpability and the unresolved feelings between them. Okay, and last 2 books. This next one is a romance. The other one is a mystery thriller. So this one is First Time Caller. I've seen this making the rounds on BookTube. So hopefully I will like this one. This is by B.K. Borison. It says, Aidan Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love. And as the host of Baltimore's romance hotline, that's a bit of a problem. But when a young girl calls into the station asking for dating advice for her mom, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aiden and heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was doing just fine. She has a good job, an incredible family, and a smart, slightly devious kid. But when all of Baltimore is suddenly scrutinizing her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question if she's as happy as she believed. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shots. But when sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final decision between the radio-sponsored Happily Ever After or the man in the headphones next to her. All right, and the last book in this haul is Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. It says, it's June 21st, the longest day of the year, and new mother Camilla's life is about to change forever. After months of maternity leave, she will drop her infant daughter off at daycare for the first time and return to her job as a literary agent. Finally. But when she wakes, her husband Luke isn't there, and in his place is a cryptic note. Then it starts. Breaking news. There's a hostage situation developing in London. The police arrive and tell her Luke is involved. But he isn't a hostage. Her husband, doting father, eternal optimist, is the gunman. What she does next is crucial, because she only knows what the note left behind that morning says. So that's all that one says. Anyway, that is it. I numbered each book on a piece of paper, and that's 50. 50. So I said between 50 and 60. I got 50 right on. So yeah, still too much, and of course I have some other books on their way, but those will be in a March haul. So yeah, again, I've got a problem. I know I do, and I need to work on it. I just don't know where to even start. So yeah. Anyway, let me know if you have read any of these books or books from any of these authors. If you haven't heard of any of these books, does one sound particularly intriguing to you? Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.